Hello, and welcome back to the Cavalier's Tale. So, 'tis the season for anything but battle reports, which means I'm back with the update, the balance update for 2022. The way that we're doing it this year is we're not allowed to release the whole thing from one from one community engagement thing all at once until the release date. So, what I've got for you today is the Arcane Compendium. And we were allowed to do up to 4 armies, but I didn't want to overstretch myself. And frankly, I mean, because I play such a limited pool of armies, there wasn't much worth stretching myself. So I'll be doing the Arcane Compendium, Dwarven Holds, Sylvan Elves, and I'll be joined by Ali, one of the ACS for Orcs and Goblins, and we'll talk about that bit together. But yeah, let's get started, shall we? So I've got the book up on the right, the relevant books, and then the list of changes on the left. Of course, this is pre-release, so everything's subject to change. Everything can change between then and now, and then there's going to be a beta period between the point where it's released, New Year's Eve, and about February sort of time, where we can give feedback and things that change can be changed back, much like Pyromancy was last January. Okay, so let's go up to the end. So we're having a look at magic items first. So first thing, nice and simple, the Ranger's Boots has been changed. Standard height infantry models on foot only, just because Centaur Chieftains in the BH book kept taking them, which boosted them to, what, move 10, March 20, I think. So that's been changed just to stop that. Rod of Battle has gotten a little bit of a buff. It's now range 18 instead, which is nice because I think this is great anyway. Lightning Van Braces has been changed from the 2d6 strength 3 hits to a base version of Hand of Heaven, I believe. So it'll be the d6 hits, d6 strength, AP 2, which is nice. I think that's, I've taken this a couple times. It works more or less like a swarm of insects. The strength 3 compensates a little bit for the loss of the 5d6 instead, but I mean, it's still not great for a bound spell as it was, so the Hand of Heaven should make that a little bit more entertaining. Essence of a Free Mind, Dominant has been taken off of there. Means it can be combined with some other stuff. I guess with the Heirloom potentially. That might be an interesting combination for some armies. You can take the Heirloom to always get your Hereditary, and then Essence of a Free Mind to choose your other spells a little bit more flexibly. The Crystal Ball is now working like the Book of Arcane Mastery, but for dispelling. And it doesn't specify whether it's for one enemy caster anymore, so I would assume that's changed. But again, this isn't final release notes, so we'll see. Crown of Autocracy is a big one and has caused quite a splash in parts of the forum. Originally, of course, it's +1 discipline. It's been removed now, so your commanding presence... the model gains are commanding presence with its range always set to 3 inches. It can't be taken with models with not a leader. If the model already has commanding presence, the range of its commanding presence is increased by 3 inches up to a maximum of 18. So basically, models on foot can go up for a 15-inch commanding presence, which is nice. It stops wizard generals, basically. Goblins it causes a problem for. Ogres it can cause a problem for because they haven't got a cheap Discipline 9 general besides the Mammoth Hunter, but that limits the rest of the list considerably. Of course, Goblins can only go up to Discipline 8, so if you want to play an all-Goblin list, you might be having slightly more trouble with this. I had thought that potentially you could put it on a model with Towering Presence to get that second bubble up to 9 inches, so you could play with a second general almost. But I obviously, I'm not taking this wording as gospel because this might change and be more clearer. But I'm assuming that the always here sets that to 3 and ignores Towering Presence for increasing your commanding presence, which is a shame. Because I think that might have been a cool use of it, but I mean, yeah, we'll see. It's really good for some armies, though. Of course, it's really good for KOE, for example. 15 inches means you can play a lot wider with your fast cavalry. So yeah, we'll see. I think if there's enough pushback here, this might just get changed back. but I think it's been changed because VS are causing problems with it. They've had to have their discipline limited on some of their characters. Some of the mounts have been changed to give bonuses to discipline, so I think that's where the source of this. And I think, to be honest, that's a good change. This is, honestly, it's a bit of a lazy item. It's just, pick a character that's not a general and make him your general. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the Crown of Autocracy, so as it was, so I think this is an interesting change. Whether or not it's the right change, I don't know, because yeah, like I don't feel like I don't play armies that have been hit by that change, so I'm pretty neutral on it, to be honest. Okay, going through the separate laws then. So alchemy first. Word of Iron has been boosted. Let's have a look at that. So the boosted version goes down to 18 inches. That's a bit rough. And then the 9 plaster cast is the same. So, ouch, maybe, but it's yeah, bit of a nerf there. And I don't see an awful lot of alchemy, to be fair. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was needed. A little bit of a buff for Molten Copper. It's D3 plus 4 hits instead of a D3 plus 3 now. So that's nice. Druidism has taken a big old punch to the gut. It's very popular so that you can spam your healing, and that can't be done anymore. The attribute can only be cast once per phase. So it doesn't matter for KoE with their Ordo Ministers, but for Beast Herds with their Monster Mash it hurts. For Sylvan Elves with their triple tree lists, that really hurts. I'm not sure this was the right... I'm not part of the game design team, I'm not a game designer, so I don't know, but I think, personally, the change I'd rather see is remove Oaken Throne, make all of these different versions with the Throne cast as just a boosted version of the spell, and then if you cast the boosted version, then you get the raised thing. And then that means you're spending a lot more dice through this. I think that just makes the lore a little bit simpler. Whether or not that solves the problem of this, just using Druidism as spamming healing, I don't know. I think maybe it's... Yeah, I think this is a bit of a band-aid, really, like a bit of a plaster. It's not really a full fix. I think maybe just Druidism could do with more of a fix, really. It's really good for very specific builds and not much else, but for those specific builds, it's really good. So yeah. Healing Waters has gone up an extra 6 inches on its range, which is cool. So 18 from water terrain and 18 from the caster, so a lot more attractive on this, a lot more attractive for apprentices, especially considering you only get the one heal, so you can take an apprentice with Healing Waters for that 18-inch fortitude save, and then you cast that and you get your attribute for the thing, and a master doesn't give you much more than that anymore, so that's nice. Spirits of the Wood, on the other hand, though, that's 18-inch range full stop, which is cool, because whenever I've used it in the past, it's 12 inches is too short, even with a damsel who's in with the units being really close up to the action, it's still too short, so 18 inches is nice. The non-augmented version is damage. The spell's been made universal as well, so you don't need the Oaken Throne to be able to make it universal, which is very good. The non-augmented version also counts as damage, so you can't cast it into combat. I don't know how that interacts with your friendly units. I mean, obviously... Yeah, maybe you just can't cast that on your own guys full stop then. Let's have a look at that. Okay, no. So the spell can only target units and all models currently engaged in combat. So you can cast that on your own guys. Of course, it doesn't actually damage them. But yeah, the 18 inches is nice. The universal is nice. I think the non-augmented version being damage might be too limiting for that spell still, and of course Druidism is just going to be less popular with the change to the attribute, so yeah, we'll see. Occultism is the next one up. Spells 1 and 4 got switched around, so an apprentice can now take Breath of Corruption. The wizard hat has taken a bit of a nerf there, because you can't self-heal from Pentagram of Pain with that, so ouch. Breath of Corruption going to an apprentice slot is... I mean, a toxic breath weapon is really good, especially when you can boost it to an 18-inch range, so... but of course, you know, I'm speaking as a player who's been playing KoE for the past year and a bit, so take that as you will. I might be a little bit biased there. Pyromancy. The blaze has been changed to 24-inch range and a strength 5. Fireball is now replicable, and enveloping embers, the thing that the spell that gives a single hit to every model in the unit, strength 3 AB nothing, is now a 9+ to cast, which is very cool. Nice change there. That's exciting. Makes Pyromancy a little bit more exciting for those big hits. Evocation, I don't know why that's not in order, so we'll scroll back up to Evocation. Dance Macabre is an 18-inch on the unboosted one, and a move 12. Okay, for a 6+, that goes up a little bit. So yeah, that's fair. I don't normally see, because I mean you've got Spectral Blades, you've got, I mean the other 5 spells are just incredible in Evocation, and this is a bit lackluster in comparison. So yeah, that's cool. That's a funky change. Witchcraft. Twisted Effigy has gone up +1 for these, which is fair because that's, you know, it's pants against some armies, but it's really, really good against those other ones. So yeah, that's fair. Cosmology, I don't know why that's out of order. Let's talk about Thaumaturgy first, shall we? So Thaumaturgy, Speaking in Tongues has got a redesign. Friendlies reroll discipline tests, and enemies cannot reroll discipline tests. So again, you know, there might be more specifics in the final written version, but that at least appears more useful than the current version. It's a nice buff for the Whispering Bell for VS as well, because currently that comes as a bound spell, but there's been lots of complaints about why would I want that as a bound spell, so yeah, that's interesting. And then finally, Cosmology, casting value's gone up to 8. I think that originally is 7, if I remember correctly. Yeah, look at me go. So that's a 7 originally, it's gone up to 8. Yeah. But I mean, with Cosmology, there's, with the attribute, you flick between them very easily, so you can bring that back down to a 7, so that's not really an issue. Right, and then price changes, which I probably should have talked about earlier, but we'll do that now anyway. So, weapon enchantments, the Touch of Greatness has gone down 5 points. I never, ever see this on anything, so 5 points is reasonable. I mean, you know, again, speaking from the UK meta, I don't see Touch of Greatness at all, so it needs help. Supernatural Dexterity and Cleansing Light, I'm surprised about. Maybe slightly less about the Cleansing Light, but I see lots of Supernatural Dexterity because it's a nice, cheap, useful magic item. And it affects the bearer's close combat attacks without having to use the weapon. So breath attacks are made at the agility of the model now, rather than its base agility, which is nice and very good on there. So cheaper is very cool. Down to 15 points is extraordinarily cheap for flaming, that you can choose to turn on and off for Cleansing Light, so that's nice. It's nice in the new KoE book as well, on the characters that can put out an awful lot of damage on monsters. So Fortitude's not really a problem for them if they need it. Armor enchantments. Basalt Infusion's gone up 5 points. That's probably reasonable considering it's infinitely better than Ghostly Guard, and it's the same points, so yeah, that's fair. Only change there. So Banner enchantments next. The Stalker Standard has gone down 5 points, which, you know, if you watch my battle reports, you know that I love this banner because it's fantastic on heavy cav. So that's very cool. Not sure it needed to go down 5 points, but we'll see. And the Banner of Discipline also has gone down 20 points. This might be a little bit of compensation from the Crown of Autocracy changing potentially. I don't see many of these either, so certainly it helps with the Crown of Autocracy. Whether or not it's designed that way, we'll see, but yeah. And then special items. So the Essence of a Free Mind has gone down 5 points, in addition to not being dominant, so that's nice. 35 points plus that is 85. Then you've got 15 points to, I don't know, put Cleansing Light on your Wizard, or Alchemist's Alloy potentially. Or a Potion of Strength. Potion of Strength is always fun, especially on a Wizard. Crown of the Wizard King has gone down 5 points, which I think is very justified considering they've lost a second self-heal on there, so that's fair. Lightning Van Braces have gone down 5 points in addition to changing to Hand of Heaven. Crystal Ball's gone up 10 points, which, considering how good that probably is with its +2 to Dispel, might not be enough. Might be really good. You know, I'd take +2 to Dispel on each first Dispel attempt of the phase for every round of the game over a Binding Scroll, especially while it's still cheaper than the Binding Scroll, so yeah, that's very good. Dragon Staff has gone down 5 points. That's nice. Breath Weapons are fun. And the Obsidian Rock has gone up 5, which, yeah, you see a lot of it, but then you see a lot of it on big monsters, so maybe it's just specifically a nerf for them. Yeah, cool. Right, that's the changes to the Arcane Compendium. So let's move on to Dwarves. Right, so we'll go through the non-price changes first, and let's go through to the magic. So essentially, the only changes here, Rune of Resolve has had a massive change. It's now an 8-inch magical move, and the unit gains light troops during the move. This becomes, I think, a very spammable spell in an MSU dwarf build, or, you know, I mean any kind of dwarf build. It's the kind of thing that means you can compete in the magic phase now. And we've all played against a dwarf player who's got 4 versions of -1 to wound. If they go for four lots of -1 to wound for the combat phase and 4 lots of Rune of Resolve for the magic phase, ouch! You're not keeping that, you know, big block of Greybeards in the same place. You're not keeping that big block of Kingsguard in the same place with the king. You're not going to be able to sneak up on these units anymore. With if you take the right magic and you keep an eye on the ranges, and I think suddenly dwarves are going to become a lot more maneuverable if they commit to magic, which is cool. The Rune of Resonance has gone up 18 to a range of 18 inches. I spent some time sitting down reading it yesterday. I still could not tell you exactly what that rune does. I know I've never seen it. It's an awful lot of wordiness for not an awful lot of benefit, I think. So yeah, whatever. An extra 18 inches might help. Who knows? Maybe somebody else will play it, and then I can see how it's actually supposed to work. Battle runes cast from the Runic Smiths are range 18 now. That's huge. That's an extra 50% on your range, which is, you know, awesome, especially considering one of the spells just got suddenly immensely better. And I don't think I've ever struggled getting range from my dwarf wizards, really. You keep all your blocks together. They're not easy to kill, so yeah, very down with that. And then finally, the final non-points changes are for the Shield Bearers and the War Thrones, a thing that dwarf players on the forums at least have been asking for a very long time, considering I think Warriors of the Dark Gods war dices don't get stomped, but dwarf mounts could do. That's no longer the case, so your War Throne is no longer going to be trodden on by a giant or a dragon. Yeah, you know, I'd say good change, but I think it's been a long time coming, so yeah, happy with that. Magic items, there are quite a few, not massives though. So the Rune of Lightning has gone up 5 points, so basically we all know the deal. If you take Rune of Lightning, you're taking 3 Runes of Lightning. So this isn't 5 points, that's 15 points for the 3 lot, which is a reasonable change because it's really fucking good. Yeah, and you know, still probably worth it because it's just that good. You stick that on your BSB, give the BSB like Relentless Banner and or a 1-up save or whatever. He's still munching through rank and file. Yeah, so that's fine. Rune of Retribution, that's this one. So if you pass an Aegis save on your shield wall, it has to be a shield wall Aegis save, so you can't just have 3 lots of the Rune of Shielding. If you pass that, then the opponent takes a hit equal to the one that you've just saved. So down by 15 points is very nice. I was surprised that, well, personally I haven't bothered taking it, but that's because I've spent a lot on just a flat Aegis save and weapon enchantments, so that makes that a little bit more entertaining for 15. The Rune of Iron, which is +1 armor, goes up 5 points. That's fair because there's no restrictions on that, so that's a fair change. The Rune of Storms, which I don't recognise. I'll have to have a look at what that is. Okay, so halving flying movement. It's a one-use thing. Choose an enemy unit within 24. Half the advance and march rate with fly in that unit. Down by 5 points. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can tell by the fact that I had to look up what that rune is. That doesn't see an awful lot of play, so down by 5 points is fair. Rune of Mastery, that's +2 to your bound spells at 1 point. It's a one-use Book of Arcane Mastery, basically. 15 points is very cheap for that. That might be worth it. I mean, I would think that it would be worth it in the first place, but it hasn't been taken, so that's a nice change. I think 15 is very cheap for that. The standards, the Runic Standard of Shielding has gone down to 65 points, which, yeah, I mean, it's a very sit-off and take things list. I mean, it's very good for a Death Star, very good for lots of big blocks. Will it still see play with for 65 points? I don't know. I like standards of swiftness personally, so yeah, we'll see. What's next? The Runic Standard of Dismay. That's this one, so -2 advance rate for the charge roll against the bearer's unit, -5 points. Yeah, I mean, if something's charging you, that's probably good for your dwarves, really. You want to be in combat, you don't want them to not charge you. If you're a ranged unit, probably still also fine with being charged. I think that's probably the only place that you'd see it used, though, on a big unit of crossbows or handguns or something. So 5 points off for that is nice. Runic Standard of the Anvil, that's gives Swift Stride to units charging units that you're engaged with. So yeah, that's cool. And you can take 3 of them in an army. Cool. Yeah, down 5 points is nice. Runic Standard of Steadiness, gain to quick to fire until the end of the player turn. Down by 5 points. That's still quite expensive for a one-use. Considering all dwarf shooting weapons are either quick to fire already with the throwing weapons, or unwieldy, it's, you know, if you made it a lot more expensive and just quick to fire all the time, then I'm sure it would see lots of play. And you could make it expensive and make it interesting that way around. But as it stands, one-use thing for, I mean, you've got to move to get it, and then you're unwieldy anyway, so it's a -1 regardless. So at best, you're going to be 5s to hit with crossbows, I guess, or 5s to hit with handguns. 6s at range with the crossbows, so meh. Engineer Ancestral Memory, so that's the grudge marker, that's down 5 points. I think that's across the board as well, so the Runic Smith didn't get it, the Thane didn't get it, but the King did, so that's just promoting Engineer Generals and King Generals, I guess. The Rune of Resonance, I think, went down across the board by 10 points. Yeah, down from 40 to 30 for all the characters. The King's Warthrone went up 10 points, so from 240 to 250, but he can't be stood on anymore, so that's fair. And the Warthrone is really, really good, so that's decent. That's fair. Yeah, reasonable. Thane, just the Rune of Resonance went down. The Runic Smith has been hit by the magic changes in this patch, so with the Wizard Masters going up 40, Adepts going up 20, and Apprentices going down an amount depending on the army book. Runic Smiths have also been hit. It's basically nothing though. Let's see. So the base cost for the Runic Smith has gone down 15, and it's gone up 30 for all 3 spells, and you're going to be taking all 3 spells because why wouldn't you? So overall, a Runic Smith with all 3 of his spells has gone up 15 points. I'd complain about that if the ranges hadn't been changed and Rune of Resolve hadn't been changed, so I think with how good this is going to be now, I think that's reasonable. That's fair. I'm down with that. And then onto units. So, let's see. In core, the Greybeards, great weapons, and throwing weapons have gone down a point each, which is good because 4 points a model is extraordinarily expensive for 2 strength 4 throwing weapons with a range of 8 on a move 3 model that can't march and shoot. So, yeah, that's a step in the right direction. Great weapons has gone down a point to match with the shields, which is fair because if you take great weapons, then you lose your shield wall, which makes them considerably less survivable in combat. Deep Watch have had a little bit of a change, but not really. If you take a unit of 25, then it hasn't changed at all. If you take it slightly less than that, you'll have saved 3 points maybe. And if you take it a bigger unit, then maybe you'll have gained 3 points. It's nothing. I mean, if you take a unit of 15, then you're cheaper, but why are you taking a unit of 15 bodyguard dwarves? Why are you not taking a massive unit? If you're taking Deep Watch, then you're taking a big unit. So, but even if you take the massive unit, you've only gone up 5 points. So, no change there essentially. Miners have gone down points. So it's 12 points a model for extra dudes, which is cool because these guys are great anyway. Pistols have also gone down, which is also great. I guess because the pistols don't compete with the throwing weapons at the same price. Just because of the amount of shots that you can put out and their strength 4 AP 1 anyway. Yeah, so that's to create a little bit of competition between these two. Rangers paired weapons have gone down a point. Yeah. I generally don't play these, so I don't know whether that's fair or not. Very meh, I guess. Next up, Forge Wardens. Forge Wardens have gone down again. So for a full unit of 20, it used to be 255? Is that 75? Yeah, 255 points, 285 with all the with your full command. It's now 265 for a full unit of 20. So any day now, these guys are going to be starting to show up in lists everywhere. Any day now, I promise. And then last of all, Field Artillery. I believe this was one of the 3 requests that were made by the community. Bolt throwers are now cheaper. The base cost for artillery has gone down 10 points, so it's now 90 points for a dwarf ballista. The cannon and the catapult stay the same as their upgrades go. Oh no, did the catapult get cheaper? Yeah, catapult doesn't change. Okay, so yeah, the catapult gets 10 points cheaper. The bolt thrower gets 10 points cheaper. The flame cannon gets 10 points cheaper, and the organ gun also gets 10 points cheaper. The cannon stays the same, and a rune crafted dwarf catapult stays the same. The rune crafted cannon though goes down 5 points. So yeah, little bits of shuffling around. I think the big thing there is that, you know, the cheaper artillery are 10 points cheaper. I don't think that's enough of a change for the organ gun. That's still, well, 240 points for an organ gun. So in the right kind of list, that's probably pretty scary still. Yeah, it's kind of here or there. Yeah, let me know what you think of those. But you know, the big change for dwarves here is the changes to the magic, and I think that's really exciting. That adds a lot of ways that you can use the dwarf magic rather than just spamming -1 to wound, and it makes them more exciting in the movement phase as well. So, am I tempted by dwarves? Yes. Am I still suffering from PTSD from playing at them at 3 tournaments at the bounce on the bounce with the same list? Also yes. So will I pick them up? Maybe. We'll see. Probably not. Final thing before we add a guest, let's take a look at the Sylvan Elves. So, non-price changes, very simple. Unseen arrows have gone up from 30% to 35%, so that's an extra 225 points, I want to say. 275 points? Something like that. No, extra 250 or something. You can now take 1,575 points in unseen arrows. Whether or not you can actually fill that much of your army list, I suppose that's because I really like Sylvan Archers. So a lot of my bows go in there. So if I take enough of them, then all of a sudden it doesn't matter about my unseen arrow cap, because I've already hit my Sylvan bow cap. So yeah, that's a cool change if you want to go really hard into Pathfinders and Sentinels. So that's fair. Lots of reductions on the magic items for Sylvan Elves. Saying that Hunter's Honor has gone up 10 points because this is dope. The Bow of Wiscan, the Life Seed Feathers, Mist Walker's Mirror, Drums of Kenrin, the Banner of Silent Mist, the Kindred Shapeshifter, and the Kindred Pathfinder, and the Aspect of Nature's Scarred Bark have all gone down 5 points. So that's +1 to wound with your bow with half range. That's the Bolt Thrower bow, the Teleporting if you're in a forest and can go to a forest item. Drums of Kenrin is you can force an enemy to hold against you instead of standing and shooting, which is cool. I think 5 points down on that is quite nice. That's like a one-use Banner of Roland, really. Banner of the Silent Mist is the soft cover, and you don't get to use a musician within 3 inches of the unit. And then the Shapeshifter one is a little bit more complicated. Advance 6, March 18, Fear, Hard Target, Swift Stride, +1 Resilience, +1 Attack. Yeah, down 5 points is cool. I know that you can technically fit 3 of these guys into a list. Your magic takes a little bit of a beating, and so does your BSB, I think, but you can put 3 of them in, which creates a little bit of a strange, funky list to play. Pathfinder I really like. I think Pathfinder on characters is really cool. I think if it was taken on a battle standard bearer, then you might see a lot more, but maybe that's why you can't do it. So, but I think 2 princes with these was only 290 before the update. I think that's with great weapons. So 5 points cheaper here and there makes that a little bit nicer. You know, a little bit more possible, especially with the Bow of Wiscan going down 10 points as well. I hope I'm pronouncing this right, by the way. All of these. Let me know in the comments if not. Scarred Bark is hatred for Dryads in the unit, so this is the Dryad Ancient specific aspect of nature, so that going down is cool. Especially considering it now competes with toxic spores. So the Druid has seen a lot of changes. Let's go and have a look at that. 5 points up on the Sylvan Blades for this Forest Prince, by the way, because duh, it's the best item on there. It's the best weapon on there, rather. The Chieftain's Horse has got 5 points cheaper. The Elk has got 10 points cheaper, and the Eagle King has got 10 points cheaper. So, yeah, take Mounted Chieftains is the takeaway from that. And then finally, okay, the Druid. So the Druid has gone down 15 points base, down to 120. And then the Adept has gone up 20 points, and the Master has gone up 40 points. Gone up 40 points. Yeah, so that's game-wide, so don't feel too aggrieved by this change, because everyone's suffering through this. Whether or not we'll keep it, I don't know. Seems a bit harsh, really. I think maybe just Adepts could have done with being cheaper, and maybe Apprentices, Wizard Masters are very good. Well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll be a good change. Wizard Masters feel very expensive now, so... to compensate for this change, lots of the mounts have gotten cheaper, so... the Dragon has gotten 20 points cheaper, sorry. The Unicorn is 10 points cheaper, and then the Eagle King and the Elven Horse have gone up 10 points. These changes were to make sure that you can't take Apprentices as chaff for really, really cheap. So, yeah, that's all fair. I played a Dragon with a Druid on the back last night, and wasn't convinced by it. You just don't get enough oomph from the Druid on the back, and your magic is really delicate, so yeah, not sure about it. Treefather Ancient, this change makes me very sad because I really like the Treefather Ancient. He has dropped 5 points, but he is also hit by the magic gets more expensive, so it's now 305 points to make him a Wizard Master. Where's he gone? Yeah, 305 points to make him a Wizard Master, 135 points to make him a Wizard Adept. Wizard Apprentice got cheaper, but you know, if I'm taking a well, maybe an Apprentice is worth it. That's not too much more expensive than a basic Treefather, so maybe that's fine. We'll have to see. I like the Master, so I'm upset about that because 760 points for him is a lot. The Thicket Shepherd is 10 points cheaper, which is cool because I think this is a great character. The Dryad Ancient, again, the magic has changed here, so 25 points to make him an Apprentice, and 135 points to make them an Adept. That's the changes to characters. So the rest of everything else in Court, Sylvan Archers have gotten cheaper again. Woo! 230 for a unit of 10 and 18 for extra models. I think 250 for a unit of 10 with the Musician was really good, so 240 for a unit of 10 with a Musician is even better. Whether or not people will agree with me, I don't know, but you know, personally I'm down with that. I think that's cool. Dryads Clearing Spirits have gone down to an extra point per model. Yeah, I think in the right list, where if you take Sacred Seeds and 2 of the you go in a forest spell, these guys are really good because you can give them stubborn pretty easily because they get that from their light troops. Whether or not that's better, of course, than just taking scoring darts, I don't know, but yeah, I think that's cool. Heath Riders have gone down a point for additional models. Yeah, again, if you're taking a max unit, then you save 10 points. So if you've taken 15 Heath Riders, just a little bit of a shuffle there. Anything else in core? No. So Blade Dancers, starting unit has gone down 5 points, and additional models have gone up 1 point. So MSU Blade Dancers are slightly cheaper. Bigger units are exactly the same price. Kestrel Knights have seen a bit of a drop, actually. I know that people in the forums were lamenting the fact that, it won't change enough. But 285 for a unit of 3 now. So 15 point drop there. The shields have gotten more expensive to compensate for that drop. And extra models have gone down 5 points. So you could take a unit of 6 and that'll save you 30 points over what it used to. So that's quite considerable, considering you can now put full command on there for free, basically. Thicket Beasts, yeah, down 9 points per model for the additional. So a unit of 5 will be 481 instead of 490, and you don't see much bigger units than that because they're quite expensive, I guess. You don't really need the 6th guy. Certainly, that's the way I've been playing them anyway. The big one, the big one for this update is the Treefather. Treefathers have seen a lot of use over the last year because of the change to how many gigantic models you can have in the army. So this has now been changed. It's gone up 25 points. So everything else in the army might be getting slightly cheaper. But if you use any Treefathers, it's going to bounce back up again because you're using them. So that's fair because Treefathers are incredible, but ouch. Yeah, so we'll see if that's enough to push them out of lists or not. Last few changes. Wild Huntsman, where are they? Basic unit will cost you 5 points less. The additional models also go down 3 points a model, and the shields have also gone down 2 points per model. So if you're the lances have gone up a point. So if you're taking shields, then you're taking lances. So this combination has gone down 1 point, 3 points for extra guys, and 5 points here. So if you're taking a unit of 10, you'll save 5, 15, 20 points. 20 points for a unit of 10 guys with lances and shields. So yeah, that's cool. That's enough for, one of the new banners of discipline, maybe. Not that you'd need it with the fearless, but for an example, that saves you 20 points on a banner enchantment, so that's nice. Briar Maidens, additional models have gone down from 30 to 27. Yeah, no comment here. I've not played with Briar Maidens at all yet. That's nice though, considering the 4+ Aegis anyway. They're pretty good in combat. If you put a Wild Hunter Lord in there. Yeah, that's fair. Sentinels stay the same, surprisingly, because they've been all over SE lists this year, so I was very surprised to see these didn't go up. But to make the Pathfinders compete with them, hey, 10 points cheaper for a unit of 5. Of course, if you take a unit of 10, then it only goes down 5 points, but for 2 units of 10 guys, yeah, that's cool. 180 for dudes who shoot at strength 3, AP 3, or +2 to hit. Yeah, I think that's a nice change. That's cool. Right, wonderful. That's everything. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching. And there should be an extra chunk here on the end from where I was joined by Ali, the Orcs and Goblins ACS. So, enjoy. No, I'll just fade us in. It'll be easier. Just very casual. Makes it much easier to start and finish it as well and everything. Cool. Yeah. Well, do you want to take the lead with this then? As I've said, I don't know an awful lot about these, so I'm kind of facilitating your commentary, really.
Okay. Well, yeah. I guess we'll just go through them line by line.
Yeah.
So the first 2 changes are to special items. We've got 5-point reduction on Mara Zappin and a 5-point increase on Green Tide. I don't really think these are going to change anything. They're too small to really make a difference.
Yeah, generally the 5-point changes aren't an awful lot. At most, it kind of restricts certain builds on characters, and beyond that, it's not an awful lot of anything. Which is fair. I don't think bigger changes than that is a good idea, necessarily, when there's not a massive need for it, so, yeah.
I guess the next set of changes are all making underused mounts cheaper for warlords and chiefs.
Yeah, I was going to say, technically it's plural mounts, isn't it? Because the Iron Orc Boar Chariot is in there.
Yeah. So all of the Wyvern mounts have gone down except for the Common Orc Warlord. Yep. And it's normally about 10 to 20 point reduction, depending on the exact version. I think this is nice. I don't think we're going to suddenly see Wyverns everywhere, but I think given how unpopular they are, it's nice to see.
Yeah, it's another step in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think chiefs with like mundane items on there, you can get to like a common chief with a 3-up save for like 300 points on a Wyvern. Which is interesting. Like obviously it bites into your character allowance, but yeah, it's nice having a flying monster, I suppose.
I mean, I think the chief Wyverns were viable before, so maybe they'll see a little bit more play, but I don't think these reductions are going to really change anything too drastically, to be honest.
No, it just might be a little bit more occasional, but I think that's probably better than just going from never seen to always seen, so yeah, all good.
And the next kind of clump of changes are for the Orc Shaman. Its base cost goes down 30 points, which is a lot more than other books.
Everyone else,
Yeah, and I think this is in response to the change of Crown of Autocracy, because now they're not...
Okay.
I'm guessing now you can't really use them as your general so easily for Discipline 9. They have been reduced in points because often if you want if you want an Orc Shaman, you'll still be paying the points for a Warlord. But because they definitely weren't underplayed before, so the only reason the base cost has gone down so much, I guess,
is to compensate for the autocracy change. Yeah.
When
I looked at this, I thought that 30 points for the drop on the apprentice is massive, but it makes sense if you can't take. Well, obviously you can go for a general, but it just becomes a lot more scary if you're not discipline 9 with them.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have that change to the master being compensated for.
Yeah, so like the master's only actually gone up 10 points, which is a lot less than other books, which is nice.
Yeah, and the adept's gone down, which is different to all the other books as well.
That is true, yeah. So it's quite nice, even though, I think it's a nice to see for orcs. And then the mounts have gone up a little bit to compensate. The chariot mount has gone up, so the cost of an adept on the chariot hasn't decreased at all, which I think is possibly over the top.
And the war boar is now, with the change to the apprentice, the war boar now costs the same as an old apprentice on foot.
Yeah. One thing that I'm not 100% keen on is the Wyvern is still master only, and the master has gone up by 10 points, and the Wyvern hasn't dropped by 10 points. So Orc masters and Wyverns, which weren't seeing any play, have in a way actually gone up, which I think's slightly sad, but with these changes to underused units, I mean, you can't be too mad because no one was using them before. So
so the Orc Shaman Common Orc Wyvern has gone up 5 points, so that's gone up 5 points anyway.
So that's gone up 15.
The Feral one has gone down 10.
Yeah,
so that stays the same.
Yeah, I just think potentially these guys could have gone down in like total cost because. Yeah. But I guess it's hard to disentangle the magic going up.
Yes, it's difficult to get out of it really. The Sylvan Elf Treefather, like I've talked about it already, but Sylvan Elf Treefather is now 760 for a master, without magic items, without its aspect of nature. Yeah, pretty oof.
Yeah, especially because I've heard a lot of people say very rude things about that unit.
Oh no, really? I've really enjoyed it. Like I've moved on to Sylvan recently. I've been really enjoying it.
Everyone has different opinions.
Yeah. Well, the Avatar's a lot more popular.
Yeah. Okay, so the Goblin King changes, I think we should cover. So a little reduction on the Wolf Chariot and on the Nasher Chief. Nice to have, so I don't think they're going to really change anything. The Forest Goblin race has gone up 5 points, and the Gargantula mount, which
has gone up 15 here, right? From 20 to 35?
No, it's 30 to 35.
Ah, right, yep, I've got my notes here are incorrect.
Okay, yeah. So it's gone up 5, and then the big one is the Gargantula mount has gone up 20, which was a very popular choice, and so it's effectively gone up 25 without items.
Yeah.
So
what do you reckon on that? Because I know you've used this guy a lot, right?
I think it's a good change, even though I really like this guy. I definitely think I know some people didn't like it before, and now I'm kind of on the fence about whether I'll include it. I'm sure some people will still include it. I don't think it's been nerfed to oblivion. I think it's kind of a fair nerf, but more than I'd have liked.
Yes, yeah, that's fair. I mean, 25 points. That's the price of your Obsidian Rock on there if you want to do that. So, and of course that's gone up in points as well. So
So
a little bit painful.
The standard build has gone from 635 to 665 points. One thing I will be a bit critical of here is I think the increase to the Forest Goblin King is a bit imprecise.
Right.
If it had been 5 points to all his mount options, I think that would have been a lot better change than
that's
5 points to the base, because you don't really see him on foot. So I think potentially, this could have been slightly better implemented, but I think this will probably come from the algorithm, so whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, and now to some exciting changes. The Goblin Witch Doctor, whose base cost has gone down 15, in line with other apprentices. However, its mount options haven't gone down at all, which I hope isn't an oversight. I hope this was done intentionally.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Well, I mean, these guys are very popular as chaff anyway, right? You take a Pyromancy adept or whatever on a chariot, and that's almost the same price as a normal chariot, but you get a spell out of it.
Apprentice, but yes. So now the apprentice on a chariot is 140 points, which seems like a steal. And on a wolf is 125 points, which is as cheap as a unit of wolf riders. So I think these are some big winners in the points update.
I wonder if this will stay.
I hope it does, but we'll see. And then it's the standard increase to adapt to master.
Yeah.
And then a 20-point reduction on the gargantuan amount. I'd have liked to see a bigger reduction here, but I think some people do think this is a reasonable choice. Still, I think it's 840 points without any equipment. So
it suffers from being a gigantic wizard, which is a bit like the Tree Father again, or any of the greater demons. They're going up an awful lot of points, and it's very expensive for all of your magic in one place.
And the disadvantage of this choice is it can't realistically be your general because it's discipline 6. So you still have to fork out the points for an Orc Warlord, for example.
But you've used half of your character points already, essentially.
I mean, I still think the fact you can get a goblin, like the cost of a goblin master on this mount has only gone up 5 points, and if you consider how much other master choices has gone up,
so this is more of a compensation than actually anything, because it has to be a wizard master sitting on it.
I'd have liked to see this be a larger reduction, but I'll take it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, so the next change is the big wing has gone down 5 points. I actually think this is kind of a bit of a slap in the face, because
Righto.
The big wing, I would say, is an actively worse upgrade because it increases your base size and gives you devastating charge, +1 strength, +1 AP. And the fact they've reduced it from 10 to 5, not 10 to 0, I don't know. Just seems like, I don't know. It's like, it seems like, why, if you bother, like if it'd been 10, if they'd left it unchanged, I'd have just been like, it's a fluff choice for people with big wyverns. But the fact it's been reduced 5 points, not 10, I don't know, it somehow triggers me.
It's still telling you, no, this is an upgrade. This makes the unit better. Still got to pay for it.
But again, I think this has probably just come out from the usage algorithm. And maybe they're worried about, in combination with the other wyverns getting cheaper.
I mean,
I don't see
overall are cheaper, aren't they? So I guess it's the same points to run this guy as an old wyvern, so
still you're just not going to run it.
no, for sure. You want the small guy, really. +1 strength and AP isn't worth timesing your tripling your base size.
Well, it's devastating charge +1 strength and AP, so even worse. But
exactly.
Okay, and they have kind of an unexpected change, in my opinion, which was Orc Ed Basher's starting cost has gone down 10.
I was surprised to see this as well. I guess, I don't know, normally this kind of change would be in hand with making the extra models more expensive, because when you see Orc Ed Bashers, you see them in units of 30 odd, don't you? So I would have thought that the extras would go up a little bit, but I can't imagine why you'd want to take the unit 15 of these guys. So
but I mean, this is what it's trying to promote, the smaller units, and it is also kind of compensating from the cost of the Green Tide banner going up, maybe. But anyway, it's nice to have. Definitely one I didn't see coming, but I'll take it.
For sure. Nice thing to have, as always.
And
bit of a pain that it's core units going down, of course.
I think Orc and Goblin core has a lot of good stuff in there, so I don't think we can complain too much.
Like Orc core riders, for example.
The power choice, for sure.
Exactly. If you want to play it properly.
Okay, and then I think what I would say is another set of exciting changes, which is the changes to foot goblins. Their base cost is going up 5 points, which you could see as a nerf. I'm sure some people will complain. But 5 points, I don't think it's really here nor there. But then the spear and shield is becoming free, which it is what it is. I still think shields will be better a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I should note this doesn't apply to forest goblins. This is just common and cave goblins.
Okay.
They're getting the free spears. And then bows are going down to 1 point per model, which we asked for, but I'm surprised we actually got. And I'm very happy we got.
Yeah, because this was one of the 3 requests, right? Cheaper weapon model, cheaper weapon choices for goblins.
Yeah. So if you have lots of cave goblins with spear models, for example, or common goblins with spears, I think you can give them a go. I still think shields will be better a lot of the time, but at least it's not like actively paying points to make your troops worse.
Yes.
And then the bow change, I think, is actually very... Like, it is a strong buff because now you can get goblin archers for 6 points per model.
Yeah, instead of the 7 that they were before. So that's very nice.
So, like, a nice choice that I think people might want to experiment with is 30 common goblins with 3 shady gits, shields and bows, standard bearer, musician, and legion standard. So you've got 30 bow shots, but equally in combat you can have a kind of staticky brick with sneaky gits to hold up cowboys and stuff, or just add a little bit of poke damage. You can cast the breath weapons on them, and they have high agility in the first round of combat. I don't know, it's just a nice, I think it's a very points efficient unit.
Yeah, it means that they can compete with the big units of orcs as well. Yeah,
but I think this is probably another exciting change of maybe something that's worth including now. Nasher Dashes, just a reduction on them. I don't think they've seen very much.
This is the ridden unit, isn't it?
Yep. I'm happy to see this. So 5 has gone down 10 points. 10 has gone down 20 points. Hopefully it means they're seen a bit more.
Yeah.
I still don't think they're going to be like spammed everywhere.
No, that makes potentially good chaff though. At 135 points for 5 of them.
People using them as chaff before. A few people. I think one of the other Orc and Goblins ACSs like them. The fact they can fly means you can like kind of hide them behind your units and like spring them out, hide them behind buildings and spring them out. So I think definitely if you compare them to 5 wolves at 125, you have chaff which can actually fight. So
yes, and agility 4 is nice for that as well. Makes them a little bit
and some impact hits there too.
Oh as well.
Yeah,
it's per 5 guys in the unit. So that's nice.
So I think you could see a lot of units of 6 just bouncing around because 2d3 impact hits and then some natural attacks.
That's difficult to deal with for some armies and difficult to ignore as well.
And they're around the cost of chaff, so you can just throw them away if you need to.
Nice change.
I like it. Okay, so another nerf we kind of asked for, which is bridge trolls are going up 5 points per model. I mean, personally, I'm sad because I love bridge trolls, but I think this is fair.
They're a unit that you use a lot, right? Big units of them as well.
So I think before it was 40 points to make 8 trolls have distracting, which I think was pretty incredible. Now it's going to be 56 points. So 16 points on a 500 point unit isn't really a big deal in my opinion.
When you put it like that, it's not so bad.
I hope trolls still see some play, but I don't think this is a monumental nerf. I think it's quite small.
It's just points shifting rather than like an actual slap. So that's fine.
Talking of actual slaps, so
here we go.
The Splatterer has gone up 15 points from 140 to 155. Were they too cheap before? Yes, definitely. I'd have liked to see them
too expensive now.
So I thought maybe 10 points increase was coming. In which case, I still think you'd see a lot of them. at 155, I think it's probably fair because like now I'm really unsure what you do for shooting. I think skewers, splatterers, and git launchers are all kind of on the edge. Like they're all fair. Like in the right matchups, they're fantastic. In the wrong matchups, they're kind of a waste of time. So I know it's going to lead to a lot of hard decisions. I think that's the good thing about the Orc and Goblin book. You have a lot of hard decisions because I think the internal balance is pretty good. I know a lot of people disagree with this statement, but I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. As someone who is outside of Orcs and Goblins and hasn't played them an awful lot, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it looks good. You don't look at the Orcs and Goblin book and pick out like a couple of units that you just, or loads of units that you just don't see at all. A lot of it is fairly flexible, and you can see lots of different builds being used with them. So.
And before this change, there were so many splatterers. To be honest, I think maybe they should have gone up more compared if you just use the usage data.
Yes.
So
yeah, I think maybe you're lucky that it didn't go up more than that.
Yeah. But definitely like a large like this and the change to the Spider King, I'd say like the biggest nerfs we've covered so far. Okay.
Yeah.
Giants. So worth noting, you now have to take a weapon option.
Yes, yeah, and that's game wide basically, isn't it? Everyone who has a giant has to take a weapon on their giant now.
Yeah. So I think that might have been a result of Orcs and Goblins. So I'm sorry, Ogre players and Warriors players who like the naked giants. But we wanted the Wrecking Ball option to get cheaper.
Yeah.
And I think Rules team has decided the easiest way of doing that is to reduce the base cost of Orc and Goblin giants and force you to take a weapon option.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that the giant club has gone up by the amount that the giant base has gone down. Right?
Yeah. So now effectively you have three options: the Wrecking Ball giant, which is now 260 points, the giant with a club who remains unchanged, and the giant with nets who's actually gone down 10 points. So yeah, I mean, there's some love for the giant. Don't think it's going to change a huge amount. You might see more giants with nets. I still think the Wrecking Ball giant is not worth the time.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a weird unit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the strength 5. So Orc and Goblin giants have, they get the extra strength and then they get the war cry. The Wrecking Ball giant doesn't get to benefit from either of these, and it has Shambolic, which is actually like a massive nerf. I don't know, I just think the Wrecking Ball giant needs to be very, very cheap before it's good.
Yeah. Do you reckon 260 is cheap enough for that to be good?
I don't. I think 240, and maybe like people would take them all. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I'm going to be taking them at 260, but I should probably give them a go, to be honest.
Yeah, try them out. Random moves is good.
Yeah, random moves is good. It's just you have to. I don't know if it does enough when it gets there.
Yes. Yeah. That's
replacing 5 attacks with D6 attacks that hit automatically. I mean, isn't that good? When the giant's wounded, the Wrecking Ball giant does do more wounds on average.
Yeah.
More hits on average. But when it's unwounded, it's about the same. So yeah. Big Brother has gone down 5 points. That's a global change. And then,
oh, nice. Okay.
Lastly, the Great Green Idol has gone up 15.
Yeah.
Which again I would say is probably the third largest nerf in this list, because idols were very popular, and this.
Yes. Yeah. You started seeing a lot of them, especially as BSBs as well. I know you've used them a little bit recently, right?
Yeah. Final thing I'll touch on is I think the largest quote-unquote nerf to Orcs and Goblins is the change to Crown of Autocracy, preventing you using the Shaman or the Goblin King for Discipline 9.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to go through an Orc Warlord now if you want that Discipline 9.
Yep.
Yeah, which is painful. I can see why that would be because that changes builds massively, doesn't it? So
Yeah, I think a lot of people are unhappy about this, and time will tell, like what it does to Orc and Goblin lists in general.
Yeah.
I think it's actually common that the largest change to Orcs and Goblins comes from the changes to the Arcane Compendium, because the book normally does like middly well, and as I say, I think the internal balance is reasonably good. So there's not normally anything that's massive.
Yeah. I think that's fair. There's generally not an awful lot that needs changing in the Orcs and Goblins book. So
yeah, but just like give a final summary. I think there's some exciting things. I think the three biggest like buffs are the Goblin apprentices on chariots, the Goblin archers, and the new crown on a warlord. I think are all very good buffs for Orcs and Goblins. I mean, some of the points reductions are nice, but I don't think they're gonna really like create spam lists. They're just a little bit of love sprinkled through the book. And I think the four biggest nerfs are losing the crown for Discipline 9, Idol, Spider King, and Splatterers, which are all played a lot. So granted, they should be the target of the nerfs, but I think those are the most substantial points increases.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd say that was pretty succinct. And again, I don't know an awful lot about this book, so I can't really say anything more than that.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see what lists people come up with.
Yeah, it's always exciting time of year seeing see what else comes out of the balance update.
Yep. Okay, well, thanks so much for having me on, Wes.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. You asked specifically if somebody could do these, so I'll edit it all together and stick it up. Cool.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks very much, and thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.